it seems that the nature of our thinking is to always want something more, to always be trying to get something more than what is. And if it seems that we've got something, we want to hang on to it. We want to make it a permanent experience. It seems that the nature of our thinking is to control, or at least to try to control experience. To imagine that I can control experience. And it seems we're fooled by it again and again. Not only in spirituality, but in pretty much every area of life. We're wanting more. And when you see that it's simply the nature of thought, it doesn't matter that it's there, that it's playing that game. It's just that you don't take it so seriously. You don't take it to actually mean that you really, really need something more. You don't take it to have anything to do with your identity. That if you get that something more, then you'll feel better, then you'll be perfect, then your experience will be what you've always been looking for. It'll be the rest that you've been hoping for, the home, the coming home that you've imagined. Whether it's the perfect romantic partner, or whether it's a better job, bigger house or car, or whether it's enlightenment, it's all the same game. And it can get more and more sneaky. You can say, well, okay, I'm prepared to trade in, like, I don't really need the experience of eternal bliss. Okay, I can see that that's not a real reality, that's not necessarily going to happen. I'll let that one go. But I just want a little bit more ease in my life. I just want things to be a little bit more comfortable. It's the same trick. I just want to think a little bit less. I just want to not be caught up in the drama. It's just a little bit less. I don't need bliss, but just a little bit, something slightly different to what is. It's the same game. It's just got more sneaky. Any thought that imagines that this isn't absolutely it is the same game. Still searching, waiting for something more, imagining that the way it actually is missing something. But once again, we can make our thoughts the enemy. We can try and think less or stop thinking, which of course is ridiculous, because it's just not possible. The nature of thought is to think. And the more you think that you shouldn't think, the more you're thinking. It's thought fighting with thought. So that's a fun game to play for a while, but eventually gets a little bit tiring. So thought isn't the enemy, but when you see its nature, when you acknowledge that the nature of thought is to think, You don't expect it to stop or change. You just don't take it seriously. You just don't take it to actually be referring to anyone. Who is it even talking about when it says, I need more, or there's something missing for me? Who is it referring to? Right now, do you find that one? Do you find the one that there's anything missing for? We make the assumption again and again that there's someone here. And yet, any time, if you actually stop and look for that one, all you will find is a thought, an assumption. If you investigate that assumption, perhaps you find a sensation and an assumption about that sensation. Somehow a sensation has been assumed to be me, or some kind of imaginary location has assumed to be me. So if you see that actually there is no me living a life, then all of the other thoughts that refer to this me, or imagine that there are problems and issues for this me, are absolutely irrelevant, because who do they even belong to? Who are they talking about? So that's what I mean by not taking it seriously. It's not that you need to have some new attitude of not taking life seriously. It's that simply investigate, who is it serious for? Who needs anything? Who is even living a life? This message can be quite a devastating one, because perhaps you've invested a lot in being this me. Perhaps you've believed that you have lived your life until now, however many years that is, no matter what has happened in that time. Maybe you've believed that you have done it. You have been the one who has lived. You have moved on this timeline called my life, as if this you is some kind of reference point that could move, that could live. Perhaps you've been telling yourself stories about your life, first of all, as if you could tell yourself anything, and as if you've had any stories to tell. All that's really happening is that stories are being told right now, as if they happened then. There is no time. There's no timeline of my life. Nothing's ever happened before right now. And that's not just some concept to believe in. It's reality. It's not just words. It's the way it really is. if you see that there really is no time, then this strips you of everything. Then all you know is literally what you experience right now. The sensation, sound, image, scene. If there's a thought, then there's a thought that pops up right now. Nothing ever happened before. And if there's no time, then how can there be any one who's living in time? Only this right now. And it's not going anywhere. It's not going to become anything more. So how could you possibly need anything more? If all it is exactly what's happening right now. Even if a thought says, what about tomorrow? That thought is happening absolutely presently. Imagining a tomorrow. Remembering a yesterday. This is the end of the road. The beginning and the end. Recognizing that there's never been a road. But of course, thought will try and figure it all out. Thought will try and understand it. Thought will try to fit it into what you think you know. Thought will try to turn it into an attitude or a belief system or a way of living my life, a way of making things better, a way of improving or fixing what I think is a problem. And that's quite natural for thought to want to do that, but it's not the point at all. Thought can't understand this. Thought can't get this, or become this, or do this, because it's all already done. It's all absolutely fine as it is. There is no problem. But thought likes to imagine problems. Thought likes to imagine all kinds of dramas. And of course, along with the thoughts come the physical sensations and emotions that seem to make those problems even more real. It is very entertaining, all of it. This whole game of life, as if it's real. The paradox, as if you are someone living a life which goes on, even though right now you can see that perhaps there's no one here. It can't be understood because it is such a paradox. It seems as if you are someone, as if there's a body that grows older in time, as if things change and evolve, and they do seem to. And yet, paradoxically, nothing's ever happened. And you can't make any sense out of that. So don't even bother trying. Because the one who's trying to make sense out of it is only thought. As much as I say don't bother trying, of course you will. And that's what we're here for. In a way, these meetings are for thought. They're not for who you really are. Because who you really are doesn't need this. Doesn't need anything. This is obvious. It's absolutely fine already. And yet, we seem to live as if there are these problems. As if we haven't quite got it. As if there is something missing. So these meetings are an opportunity for you to inquire into what you really know beyond your thinking, beyond the assumptions that you make. It's an opportunity to come up here courageously and feel whatever is really here to be felt, the vulnerability that you are, and see these mechanisms of thought that seem to protect this me, this imaginary me.